Welcome to episode 5 of On the Mark with Arpit. Mark Seagraves, as always, here with me. My name is Arpit Sharma. Our main topic today is going to be the round of 16 matches that kicked off last night in the UEFA Champions League. Obviously, we look forward to that. So much riding on these matches, teams trying to give it their best, which is a bit ironic because we'll come to that a little later. Mark, before I get my personal opinions in here, what did you make of the round of 16?
Well, we're going to talk obviously about Liverpool, aren't we? And how poor a game, how poor Liverpool have been in recent weeks. But this was beyond that. It was. I really don't know what's happening. We said about Szoboszlai playing in right back. He was playing in midfield yesterday, and still they were dreadful. And you know what? It's a really good result for Liverpool to only come back 1-0 down from there. And they'll obviously take that out of the game, but there's nothing else that they could really take after that game, because there were far too many players not anywhere near the standard required, not alone to play for Liverpool, but to play in the Champions League. It's a high standard, and there were so many players below that.
So it's interesting. Before we started the recording, I said I would ask you my first question. You'd give me a generic answer, and I would dive into the Liverpool morning bit. But obviously, it's hurt you so much that we've forgotten about Tottenham and Atletico Madrid and Bayern and Atalanta and Newcastle and Barcelona, and we focused on Liverpool and Galatasaray. And I don't blame you. Before we get a little bit more in depth with your reaction on the match, if I may say so, that was one of the worst games I have seen in the round of 16 on television live. Obviously it was an early kickoff, so it wasn't too late in the night. I was just thinking, if that would have been a 1:30 a.m. kickoff India time, and I was a Liverpool fan, I would have been tearing my hair out. And it was so poor from both teams. Mark, that was, in terms of what we saw on display, in terms of skill, in terms of keeping the ball, in terms of pass accuracy, in terms of shots on target, I feel that was one of the poorest games I've watched in a while. And this is the Champions League round of 16.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the creme de la creme. If you look at statistics, Liverpool dominated in most of the areas, possession, and not dominated, 54% as opposed to the opposite with Galatasaray. But there was just a lack of any sort of, and we've seen this a long time now at Liverpool. There doesn't seem to be any energy. There doesn't seem, it's slow, it's laborious, it's very samey, if you like, the way they play from the back. Van Dijk gets it and plays a diagonal. They don't even do that anymore. It's like so slow and so predictable and so easy to defend, I know they're going through a bit of a patch, and they're still in the Champions League, of course, and it'll be a different kettle of fish at home. But the worry for me is this is happening week in, week out, and it doesn't seem to be a change. And we can say Gomez shouldn't be playing at right back, okay, but that's not the reason that the way they are. You look at Kanate last night, was dreadful. You look at Van Dijk, was dreadful.
Yeah.
The big guy Osimhen up front, he dominated them in the air, and he was a threat against them all game. So we've got to get back to basics, I think. We've got to get back, whether it's just, I said to you on, I think it was the fourth time we did this, that Liverpool need a performance. They just need a 90-minute performance, and we're not getting that. We're just lurching from one 90 minutes to the next 90 minutes, and it's a little bit like we're hoping it's going to come. You don't hope, you make it happen. And it's, obviously he hasn't got any hair to pull out, but Slot will be tearing whatever hair he has on his head out, because he'll be at the end of the day. I always say, Arpit, the players have the ultimate responsibility. Slot can say, I want you to play in a 4-2-3-1 or whatever it is. These players have to go out there and perform to that level, and unfortunately there's far too many not doing that right now.
Now, I was thinking about Arne Slot, because based on yesterday's performance, I don't think you can look at Slot at all, because I don't think Slot has told any of his players, give the ball away, make make runs that are completely inexplicable, miss the target, because it was just abysmal from all the players, barring the goalkeepers for both teams. I felt, and before we started recording, you said Galatasaray, won the headers. And I said, well, that's not what you expect to pick out in the round of 16 of the Champions League, right? You expect to pick out a great pass, a great assist, great defending. Obviously, we got good goalkeeping, a good shot. And I think the tone for Liverpool's performance was set literally in the first couple of minutes, where Galatasaray literally said, here you go, score a goal. And Florian Wirtz, I like Florian Wirtz, and I've said he's going to be a great player.
He should have scored. He should have scored. I mean, there's no way around that. He should have scored. So, and that might have made the difference and it changed. I just think they're lacking a lot of confidence as well. And no matter how good you are or how big a name you are, if you're lacking confidence, then you're never going to get to your maximum. So I see that in them. Even when you said about giving the ball away, I've never seen Liverpool give the ball away as much as they did in last night's game.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just one or two players; it was everybody.
Everybody, including Szoboszlai, who's usually so great.
Yeah, and I've never seen them defend as badly as this, and it just seems to have all come together where everybody's lost a little bit of confidence. And, they all, at the end of the day, they're human beings. They look on the internet. They won't be happy with what's getting said. Slots under pressure. They don't know what, footballers, I've called them cheats and stuff like that, but they'll always find a way out of not taking a responsibility. Oh, we didn't fly. We flew business normal class instead of business class.
Coach.
We didn't get there. And so they'll always use that. But right now, they can't blame anybody other than themselves. And as individuals, they need to look at that and think, hang on, I really do have to do better as an individual. And collectively, if each individual does the requisite thinking and analysing, then the collective will be a lot better, because we're a million miles away from the Premier League. We're a million miles away from winning the Champions League as well. And that is
that performance for sure. Yeah. And I just want to add, because this popped up in my head, when you spoke about players, I don't like using the word cheats, but, affecting referee decisions and all. I don't think any Liverpool fan has the right to complain about Bruno Fernandes after watching McAllister in that game yesterday. And I've been noticing McAllister over the last few games. When he gets, when there's a challenge on McAllister, he's broken a leg, he's broken an arm, his neck's probably turned the other way around. And when the opposition player gets fouled, and all players tend to exaggerate it, and I get it, the way he goes at a referee, right? And even at the end of yesterday's game, he was just going at the referee. And I was thinking, well, and we take it as United fans, we say, yeah, Bruno at times does complain a lot. He gets into the referee faces. We accept it. Anytime a Liverpool fan is telling me that Bruno Fernandes excessively complains or throws himself around, I'm just going to say, he's a bit like McAllister in that sense.
There's an awful lot of gaslighting going on. They're trying to, take away from that. No, they are. They're trying to take away from their own performance, by having a go at the referee. We've often talked about referees as well. It's the hardest job on the pitch. I seen Alvarez yesterday going down, and it was a second bookable offence, and he never got sent off the player, and it showed that he hadn't touched him at all.
Yeah.
So in real time, it's very, very difficult. This is why VAR is good, and we'll disagree on that as well. But
we will.
I think, these players have a responsibility to perform. Let's perform to the amount of money you earn, because that's basically what it is. The better you are, the more acceptance that. Well, it's not, but it should. You should, if you're a Salah, and I'm not saying he goes out and tries not to play well. Nobody does that. But at some point, you've got to actually think, and I need to do something different here. Maybe whatever it is, I don't know. Do something different, and maybe my form will come back. All of the players have to introspect. They have to look at themselves and think, what where am I going to get to? How can I get back to where I was? It's not through the manager. It's not through the diet. It's not through anything else. It's through a mental strength, I suppose. And to utilize that. And as I say, confidence is huge. Self-esteem is huge. I think their self-esteem won't be great at the moment because they're getting it from everywhere, aren't they? I'm a Liverpool supporter, and I'm not one for criticising, but they have to at some point be criticised, haven't they? And take it on the chin. So
after yesterday's performance, I don't think.
Yeah,
Go on, Mark.
No. I just think they all need to have a look at themselves and stop hiding behind managers and this, that, and the other, bad refereeing decisions, all of that. That's nonsense. Just get back to your own self, find out what's going on, rectify it, and then get back to your playing, because they're all very, very good players. They've shown that by winning the league last year. But they've got to get back to it. And, I don't know how it's going to be done, but it's up to them, isn't it? They have to do it individually.
I was just thinking yesterday, and I didn't know that Federico Chiesa wasn't available for this one. I just looked at the substitutes bench and his name wasn't there. Curtis Jones wasn't tried. Your young player, Ngumoha, wasn't tried in this one as well. And I'm not going to criticize Slot about anything in this respect. But I'm going to talk about Mohamed Salah. And I bring this up because we spoke, I think it was the last time around where we spoke, and I asked you that, would it be okay for Slot to not start him in a game? And you said, yeah, based on his performances, that's fine. Oh man, he was so bad yesterday. And the thing is, I feel like defenders now know this. So whenever Salah gets the ball, it almost seems like they wait it out. There was a time when Ronaldo was trying this towards the end in the English Premier League, where defenders would just be like, let him do his thing. And we feel like, the ball is going to come to us. I play with players here, obviously in a very small setup. And we have players who are very talented. They do the step overs and they run really fast and they do the quick turns. But we just know that if you give them 20 seconds on the ball, they're either going to take a bad shot, make a bad pass, or give the ball to you. And I feel like I was seeing that with defenders yesterday with Salah, and it was coming true because the ball would invariably come to a Galatasaray defender. So, and the reason I'm bringing him up is because, I watched the shows about it. I read a couple of tweets as well. And a lot of Liverpool fans obviously still love Mohamed Salah. And the justification that a lot of them tend to give now is that he doesn't have Trent Alexander-Arnold with him to be able to perform at the level that he performs. I disagree with that because, the Mohamed Salah of last year and the previous years didn't need a Trent Alexander-Arnold for his performances. He's missing shots. He's not making the right passes. He's not getting past the defenders right now. He's definitely not the Mohamed Salah of last year.
Of course, he's a year older. This is the thing. This is what I was saying to you. Time catches up with you, and all footballers are depreciating assets. They've given him a whole load of money for this year and the following year also. I would have got him out the club and got as much money as I could for him in the summer. Why not change his position? Why not put him on the left-hand side and put Gakpo on the right-hand side? Why not mix it up? Why not play him up top on his own and give him a little bit of a fresh impetus, or even within the game to mix it up and put Gakpo on the right, put him on the left, and obviously Ekitike in the middle, or put Ekitike. Just mix it up a little bit because Liverpool are becoming predictable. And the predictable, they know what Salah's going to do. He's going to always want to come in on his left-hand side. Gakpo's the same. You know what he's going to do. So as a defender, I'd be showing him down the line all the time because he ain't going to score from there. So this is what Liverpool need to do. They're becoming very predictable. They're becoming predictable defensively. They're easily got at, in terms of Kerkers in the left-back position. He come with a massive reputation, but he's playing in a back four now that indecisive. They're not dominant. Van Dijk isn't as dominant. Konate is not playing anywhere near what he used to do. They don't know who's going to be playing right back from one week to the next. So there's a lot of that coming into Liverpool right now. But as regards Salah, his record's been brilliant. The king's dead, long live the king. That's the saying, isn't it? At some point, whatever he's done in the past, it was in the past. Now we can only judge him on what we're doing right now. And
currently,
I don't think for the money that they're paying is up to the scratch. So, but I would give him obviously the 6 months to 12 months grace because of what he's done. He deserves that. But I think if Slot was in a stronger position right now, I think he would have made that decision to maybe either play him in a different role or give him a break, because he's battling them between Salah being in the changing room unhappy or Salah being in the changing room happy. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. So as I say, it's not nice. It's not easy either. They just got to get through it. I think they're playing through treacle, as if they're playing in treacle, that they're just so slow. Everything's is easy to defend against. We're going to Galatasaray and they had 6 shot target, but not that much. The first one would have gone in from Vert. It'd have been a different game, but we can't approach games like that. If that goes in, we'd have done this. If that went in, we'd have done that. You've got to have a different mindset and a different game plan.
Yeah. Interestingly, for the kind of game that it was, with the number of errors that were made and the kind of errors that were made in the places that they were, 1-0 was not a scoreline anyone would have expected after that game started and the goal went in so early. Everyone thought there were going to be so many more goals and there were so many chances as well. But yeah, that game ends 1-0. And like you said, and I tweeted this while the game was on, I said 1-0 is not going to be enough. Now, when you go back to Anfield, we've seen Liverpool, reverse a 3-0 Barcelona scoreline. But it obviously depends on the Liverpool that turns out on the day, because we just saw 2 matches against Wolves. They lost in the Premier League and then they won in the FA Cup. So you don't know which team is going to come, but just based on the flip-flop, the team that came against Galatasaray lost in Galatasaray. So you just expect, maybe think that the other Liverpool will crush them final at home. So I feel like Liverpool definitely still have the advantage in this.
Oh, they do. I mean, home advantage is great. And they always say about playing the games at Anfield under the floodlights, Champions League, there's a different atmosphere. It'll be an electric atmosphere, but the players have got to get up for the game and take it to Galatasaray. It's easy. They're coming. They don't need to score Galatasaray, to win the game really, because if they can keep a clean sheet, then they're through. They're through to the next. But I don't think even if we do get through, that the next hurdle we won't be able to overcome that, because there's far too many big teams there that are scoring lots and lots of goals and not conceding any. So it's let's take one game as it comes, which will be that. I think it's next week, isn't it? The game.
Yeah.
And let's see where that takes us. But we need to start getting 90 minutes of proper football under our belts rather than scratching around the way we have been doing.
Yeah. Well, let me just say it makes me very happy that you're struggling with what is happening at Liverpool, because I've been there and I've said this before. So much guilty pleasure for us United fans to see you experiencing the same thing, to watch games, staying up late in the night and watching games and wondering what is going on with these players. Why can't they make a single pass? But yeah, now that you've experienced it, I'm very happy. Life has balanced itself. You were talking about great teams being in the round of 16 teams that score a lot and don't concede. Were you talking about Tottenham?
No, I was talking about Bayern Munich. But yeah, I watched the Tottenham and I felt so sorry for the young goalkeeper.
Yeah.
A keeper they bought in the summer for 12.5 million, I think it was. So he must have, come with a little bit of a reputation. So he started the game, his first Champions League game, I think it was. And my goodness, he got taken off after 17 minutes. He'd made 2 big howlers. And Spurs were down 3 goals by 14 minutes. So the manager made a really brave decision in bringing him off. I don't know what that's going to do to the young keeper. We've seen it at Liverpool, haven't we, with the keeper in the Champions League final. And he hasn't recovered from that. So... yeah, it was. We talk about Liverpool and Galatasaray about being bad game. The defending in that game was absolutely shocking as well. And you look at Atletico Madrid, 3rd in La Liga. You've got obviously Spurs who are going to get relegated or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and there was lots of goals. Bayern Munich again do what Bayern Munich do. They score lots of
Yeah.
goals, and so they're always going to go deep into these competitions. A great result for Newcastle, I thought, at home,
Well done.
1-1 against
Yeah.
Barcelona. Yeah, it'll be a big game for them, the new camp. So yeah, it's all good. It was good last night. I stayed up and watched the Liverpool game and
Yeah.
talking to you in between and whatnot. And then I had a look at the results this morning, the highlights, and I felt so sorry. I think the guy's name's Kinski, the
Kinski.
goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Like,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
rated
So
4.9 for the match. That's absolutely crushing on
and he was
SofaScore.
only
That's
on.
crushing.
He was only on for
Was that-
17 minutes.
yeah, I know. Oh man, that's really sad. Yeah, I was so, as a football fan, I was so angry after the Liverpool Galatasaray game because one, obviously Liverpool, champions last season of the Premier League. Galatasaray going to be champions of the Turkish league.
Mhm.
And I thought, this is the game you guys are giving us as a fan that is okay with either team winning this. But it wasn't that late. Like I said, thank God it was not that late, because if that would have been a 1:30 kickoff and I would have watched that game, I would have just been like, come on, guys. There are people who've paid to watch you, come and support you. And I was listening to the commentary of the game, Mark, and I don't know who the commentators were, but I remember one of the commentators. They obviously they said Liverpool were bad, except the goalkeeper. Everyone's performances were terrible. But then they said Osimhen has been brilliant, and and I said, wait, what? He got an assist that was great. 2-3 times he got the ball, but most of the time, Osimhen and his players, I think the right back was a guy named Singa. He would just go on a marauding run and then give the ball to your midfield or to your defenders. And I thought Liverpool's standard has been so bad in this game that they're saying Osimhen is brilliant when he's been absolutely frustrating to watch. And I was just
Yeah,
like, this.
I think Liverpool brought Galatasaray down to their level, didn't they, last night? Rather than the other way.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, but no. So that's why I hope tonight's matches are better, because I was looking forward to this. I was looking forward to staying awake and watching these games. But invariably, you're upset when the team you support is losing or playing bad. This is two teams, and I like Liverpool. I like it, not when they're playing United, but otherwise I like Liverpool as a team. But yeah, just the performance was so bad. So I'm hoping the games tonight are better. One sec, let me just look at the games. It kicks off with Leverkusen Arsenal. That's the early kickoff, so obviously a good game to watch. Do you have a prediction for that one?
Well, Arsenal, the way they're playing, Leverkusen can't keep a clean sheet, can they? So, and hopefully Arsenal get more corners than Leverkusen and score from the corners.
Yeah, I wonder if the Champions League referees are going to look at pulling and pushing the way the English Premier League has been avoiding it for Arsenal. Yeah, even I hope they do. I'm just going to say this. I thought it was a foul on Van Dijk for the disallowed goal. I thought it was a foul, and I thought the referee should have checked it. But they said the ball was past him, but he was being pulled down, so he couldn't go for a header. PSG Chelsea.
PSG got beat at the weekend at home, didn't they? Chelsea also. I don't know. I'd like to think PSG will beat them at home and put Leroy Rossini under a little bit of pressure, because he's had it all in his own way, hasn't he? Just recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think PSG at home.
PSG have not been that great in the last two matches that I watched against Monaco in the Champions League as well. Monaco had a player sent off. PSG managed to get through that round. They've not been that great. Chelsea, more importantly, need to keep 11 players on the pitch, because they just, they're buying red cards. They're getting red cards like it's Christmas. Well, yeah, that's PSG. Oh, Bodo Glimt and Sporting. That's a tough one.
It's probably the most unfashionable tie, isn't it? But they've done great, Bodo Glimt, haven't they?
Yeah,
they've done absolutely amazing to get, and they've picked probably a relatively, one of the lesser lights, if you like, in Sporting. So yeah, it could be a good opportunity for them. But everything for them from now on in is a bonus, isn't it, for Bodo Glimt right now?
Bodo Glimt are on a 7-match winning streak, which includes beating Inter twice, Atletico Madrid once, Man City once. These are the last few matches that they've played. And I think I was reading about Bodo Glimt that they didn't have any matches since December because, their league shuts down.
Snow,
so they were
isn't
only
it?
playing, they were only playing the Champions League. And they've beaten City, Atletico Madrid, Inter. So well done, Bodo Glimt, deserve to be there. And of course, Real Madrid, Man City.
Big game. How many times have we seen that tie in recent years? A lot, haven't we?
Every year. I think every year they have to play a Champions League game.
It could go either way, couldn't it? Because I don't think Real Madrid are in that great a form. Man City are coming into a bit of form, albeit I don't like watching Man City now. I think it's very, very boring the way they're playing. It's side to side, this way, that way. It's like playing chess. But, let's say it, Real Madrid at home, so they should have the advantage.
Okay, I'm just going to close this off. So Manchester City have been on a winning run, okay, or an unbeaten run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A 10-match unbeaten run for Manchester City. Which was the last team that beat them? You should know the answer. I just mentioned it.
Was it Liverpool?
No, Bodo Glimt.
Oh, Bodo Glimt.
That was the last time City got beat. Oh, and the match before that was United, which they lost. But yeah, City are on a 10-match unbeaten run. I think they drew the last game, wasn't it? The last game was...
2-2, wasn't it?
No. They won the last game, I think, against Newcastle in the FA Cup, but they drew against Forest 2-2.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the predictions in. We spoke about how terrible an experience it was to watch Liverpool play Galatasaray. And I think it's safe to say that I don't think it's going to be that bad next week when Liverpool play at Anfield against Galatasaray. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed after that performance. 20 of those players out of the 22 gave us.
This show must have been the best show for you completely. And do you know why? We haven't had to talk about your team, Man United once, have
we? We'll do that next before the weekend starts. We should have done it at the end of last weekend or the last midweek when Newcastle beat them with that wonder goal. We'll do it. And the title of that episode will be Knives Out, because one loss and the way the fans and the pundits have turned on Michael Carrick is just insane. But we'll do that next time.
What did we say? Yeah, go on. No, I just want one last one. What did we say about the 10 unbeaten game run and then the 11th, everybody gets beat? And now he's under pressure again, which is crazy. But there you go.
Yeah, we'll come to that in the next episode. If people are watching and want to talk about want to listen about Manchester United, well, that's going to be on the next episode. Anything else about the round of 16 before we say bye, Mark?
No, it was disappointing from my point of view at Liverpool's performance. It can only get better from there, can't it? So let's see what happens next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind you suffering again, but yeah, let's see next week. Thank you for anyone who watched and listened. We'll catch you on episode 6 next time. Bye.
Bye.